Thank you for joining us here on the show for the last segment of today's show and of the week. We're going to talk some more of the Los Angeles Chargers. Some funny comments made from Jim Harbaugh on the start of training camp. It just really personifies who he is, wraps up in all the statements that he said just to start training camp on who he is and what to expect from this Chargers team. Just that all 100% mentality on football, and really you see how much this means to Jim Harbaugh. And I think the ideas that he's going to bring, the identity that he's going to bring, makes me want to believe that this team is going to be good. But there is some things that they have to work out, which one of them being the running back situation, and specifically J.K. Dobbins, because I thought when J.K. was rehabbing from his knee injury, rehabbing and trying to get back into the NFL, there was a thought in my head like, I remember J.K. coming into the NFL and being very impressive as a rookie, and then still from that point on having to deal with all these injuries, just unfortunate for him. And pairing him up to the Los Angeles Chargers, I thought would have been ideal, and that's exactly what happened for him to come in here to now learn and be coached by the brother of his former coach. And probably one of the biggest things is having his former offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, here with him, and a former Baltimore Raven also. It just seemed like a match made in heaven, and that's where I think you get some of the confidence from J.K. Dobbins as well, from speaking to the media and talking about this year with the Los Angeles Chargers. He seems pretty confident, like I mentioned, after being drafted in 2022, had a great year as a rookie, but from that point on, he's only played in about 24 of the potential 73 games that he could have played if he wasn't injured during that time. If you look back at 2021, in the preseason, he tore his ACL, LCL, his meniscus, and his hamstring, all in the preseason, so of course he missed the entire year. In 2022, he played 4 games at the start. Then he had arthroscopic surgery, and then he came back in the final 5 games and did all right. But again, it's not the same with missing the majority of the season. Then last year, week 1, right off the bat, he ruptures his Achilles, and it seems like he can't catch a break. The Baltimore Ravens and him decide to part ways, and now he's on the Los Angeles Chargers, and still, even through all those injuries, through everything that he's had to deal with, he seems pretty confident in this team and the belief that he has and what they're about and their identity. On yesterday, he talked about what he expects from himself in this new chapter with the Chargers. He said, I do think if I get the volume, I'll be one of the best in the league. I've shown that, and he's not wrong, just kept it short and sweet, showing to be one of the best running backs in the NFL. If you just look at his average yards per carry in the NFL, just in the short time that he's actually been on the field, his average yards per carry is at 5.8, and that's the highest of any running back since 2020 with a minimum of 200 attempts. So JK in that season as a rookie did do all right for himself. You know, he did play very well in that year as a rookie with 134 carries, 805 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Not too bad for someone just stepping into the NFL right away and joining a team that's very much personified on the run like the Baltimore Ravens. Right away, he stepped into the limelight, into the spotlight even, with Lamar Jackson, and made a big impact right away, which got a lot of people excited, but he had to deal with these injuries. Now, he is in a familiar situation, like I mentioned, with Greg Roman being the offensive coordinator here, and the same thing in Baltimore in 2020. And same thing, this pairing with Gus Edwards, which I think is going to be exciting, because not only does J.K. Dobbins believe that the injuries are past him now, he even said that the game feels slower at this point. And if the game felt fast to him back in his rookie year when he almost had 1,000 yards, you can only imagine what it could be now with the game feeling very slow for him, being in total control. And if he does stay healthy, this could be such a great thing for the Los Angeles Chargers, because as a collective, the Los Angeles Chargers have just said that they are personified on the run. They want to make that their identity. You had Greg Roman talk about at some point this offseason the idea of mentioning, having Justin Herbert with a great top 5, top 10 running game, how much better they could become, throwing that out there into the universe as the potential, as the goal that they want to reach at some point this year. And right now, Gus Edwards is projected to be the number one running back, but just imagine a healthy, productive J.K. Dobbins alongside with him. Dobbins and having this reunion with Greg Roman and Gus Edwards and all that stuff, all that sentimental stuff, it's great. But they just didn't bring him here for the Chargers for no reason. They just didn't bring him here because it sounds nice. I believe that Greg Roman still sees value in JK. I think he still believes that he could bring something to this equation because you look at how the Chargers are built up right now. Right away, you can see the imprint that Jim Harbaugh has made on this team, building up this offensive line with Bozeman as their center, Zion Johnson as one of their guards, and on the outsides at their tackles, they have Rashawn Slater, and they drafted the best one this year in Joe Alt. So their offensive line, for the most part, is built up with solid pieces there. And right now you have that. The offense, of course, looks a little bit weird, a little bit uncertain, a little bit shaky, just because you don't have that number one elite wide receiver. From the time since Justin Herbert stepped into the league, he had Keenan Allen, he had Mike Williams, he had Gerald Everett also at some point. He had an excess of riches at that position, but now it looks a little bit weird. People think that they're not going to be anywhere close to what they were because they have DJ Chark, Quentin Johnson, Ladd McConkey, who they just drafted. It doesn't jump out of the page, but I think focusing in on the run could make such a difference for this team. If J.K. Dobbins could be anywhere near the level of his rookie year, I'd say that would be more crucial for this team than finding a Keenan Allen. You can throw any receiver out there. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Justin Jefferson type of receiver for Justin Herbert. I truly think that having such a dynamic 1-2 punch at the running back position in Gus and JK could do wonders for this team because it would be Justin Herbert's best friend to just hand it off constantly to Gus and to JK relentlessly, making the defense, clamber down, have a lot more people in the box, and then that way it makes it easier for guys like DJ Chark, Quentin Johnson, and Ladd McConkey, who, again, are very much unproven, pretty much, or are at a level where they're not considered, number one receivers per se. But I think having a great running game and Justin Herbert as your quarterback, Justin Herbert can find a way to make those guys look like superstars. If the system is the way that it is laid out right now for the Chargers, Justin Herbert is good enough to fit it in tight windows if DJ Chark, Quentin Johnson are faced up with one-on-one matchups because everybody's so focused in on the run game. Justin Herbert is good enough to fit it into those tight windows, take advantage of those one-on-one matchups, and these guys aren't, like bums or anything like that by any means. Ladd McConkey has been impressing a lot during training camp, but again, we are talking about a rookie, so we have to monitor our expectations. And Quentin Johnson disappointed a lot of people last year, but the talent that he showed at TCU just hasn't disappeared. I just feel like he had a rough first year. It's not something completely rare. He just needs some more time, and I believe that maybe taking away some of the spotlight from him, putting it on this running game that Jim Harbaugh is known to want to play through, want to establish that running game first, and then playing from the inside out, I think that could benefit Quentin Johnson even more. And DJ Chark, maybe not that number one bona fide receiver, but he's had some success in the NFL, has that experience, and fitting into this system with that experience on tap, I think it could be something that the Chargers could at least work with here with Justin Herbert because of how talented Herbert is, how he's the leader, how everything really revolves around him. If you could alleviate some of that pressure with JK and with Gus, it would make everything smoother for this team, and that's why the Chargers want to focus in so much on the running game. But of course it depends on JK staying healthy. Same thing with Gus Edwards, dealing with an injury right now, keeping him away from training camp. But they're putting a lot of emphasis, a lot of stock in their two running backs, and it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to get out of here and get out of this team because the expectations for this Chargers team, I don't know where they are at right now. There's a lot of uncertainties, a lot of missing factors, but if they could find some success with this running game, it could make those expectations a lot easier to reach. And with Jim Harbaugh having the prior experience in the NFL, it could be something that can become exciting after a few weeks if the Chargers find their footing. This could be something that could blindside a lot of people. They're not going to win the division or anything like that, but it could be a faster developing thing than originally projected for the Chargers. But that's the best case scenario, obviously. We're going to have to see if JK stays healthy. I have confidence in him. I've seen him a lot being a Steelers fan with the Baltimore Ravens, playing the Steelers constantly every year, obviously. I got that slight glimpse of how good he could be. So with the Chargers, I think he could do wonders for them and make it a lot easier for them. Because this team is exciting, I want them to be good. I like Jim Harbaugh as a coach. I want to see them succeed, and I think they have something brewing here in 2024 with their running game. But that'll wrap it up. That'll wrap it up for this show, today's episode of the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining me on today's show. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to the show, as well as following the network on all forms of social media. If you want to see more of the show, check out both YouTube channels, the GSMC Chip Shot, the GSMC Podcast Network channel, and the GSMC Sports Network channel on YouTube for YouTube Shorts, live segments, and also individual segment videos, all posted on both channels. And as a final reminder, tune in every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for more football discussions and NFL conversations with me, Manny Maradiaga, as your host. Thanking you guys for joining me. Hope you guys all have a great weekend, and I expect to see you guys back here with me again on Monday.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to